Your health has always been our first priority, but as governor, I am responsible to ensure that we can start talking about the looming financial crisis. You have a right to know, and I'm committed to give you the facts and keep you informed. You've seen in the news, as a result of our imposing the 14-day mandatory quarantine, more than 200,000 of your neighbors and residents have lost their jobs and gone on unemployment. Many of the businesses had to close, some temporarily, but some will never reopen. You probably know someone, a friend, a neighbor, a family member who is facing challenging financial times. And as difficult as it has been, we haven't felt the full financial pain yet. Our finances have been kept afloat by an infusion of more than $4 billion in federal money. Thank your congressional delegations, Senator Schatz, Hirono, Congressman Case, and Gabbard. They've done a terrific job in providing support for residents and businesses statewide. But the federal money is drying up. The Paycheck Protection Program, money that supported thousands of Hawaii businesses in keeping many of you at work, will begin to start to run out at the end of June. And many of you have received your $1,200 stimulus payment directly from the federal government, but that's a one-time payment. Those of you who filed for unemployment have received an additional $600 per week from the federal government, and that increase will end during the end of July. So I did want to have this opportunity to talk a little bit about the state finances. As you know, June 30th marked the end of our fiscal year. For June, as expected, last year we collected $644 million in taxes in June. This year, we collected just $483 million. That's $160 million less for the month of June, or about a 25% reduction. If you look at the end of the fiscal year, in the previous fiscal year, the state collected $7 billion in total tax income. And this year, in the fiscal year just ended, we ended up collecting $6.5 billion, or $500 million less than we did in the previous year. That's a reduction of 7%. But all of you know that we were running along very fine through the end of the year on record pace. January, February, March, the revenues had no impact from this COVID pandemic. And then we saw the degradation in April, May, and now finally June. So we do know that COVID-19 will have a significant impact on the state's finances. So we went from a record year to a significant loss in a matter of 3 months. As you look at the revenue projections, the Council on Revenue has just issued their updated forecast for 2020 and 2021. Based on their assessment of our economy, they projected $2.3 billion less in tax revenue for the next 12 to 15 months. This is a huge challenge for all of us here in the state of Hawaii. And we are working very hard to look at all of the options. The state's budget is fixed, and we are required to have a balanced budget. We can't create or print money. It is all within the funds that we collect. So we are looking at every opportunity. Everything is on the table in order for us to balance the budget. This includes trying to find more money within the funds that we've already collected. And unfortunately, it also means that we'll have to look at potential cuts to the budget. I want to assure you that our planning and decisions will be based on facts and the numbers that we see. We are facing a challenging future, and we will attack it head on. There are no easy answers, and tough decisions will be needed to be made in the next weeks and months ahead. As you know, it is important to remember that we do believe this shortfall is temporary for a period of time. As we begin to reopen our economy and bring back a Trans-Pacific guests, we know that that will help improve our financial situation. We also know that there is a lot of work in producing a vaccine and better therapeutics, which will help us in the fight against COVID-19. So just want to assure all of you here in the public that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And as we know, we have faced as a community challenging times in the past and have always emerged working together stronger and more vibrant.
Potential cuts to the budget, what are the priority items, and where will those cuts come from? Will it be in the form of pay cuts or job cuts? Where will that fall in the spectrum?
You know, certainly a couple things. We are obviously maximizing the revenue replacement or revenues that we can receive. So we've talked about a municipal loan program from the U.S. Treasury. We've initiated that activity, so we'll be borrowing from the U.S. Treasury. That certainly the challenge with borrowing those funds is the term is limited to 3 years. So whatever we borrow would have to be repaid. And then we are going through systemically, I put a freeze on all vacancies and hiring so that as people leave state employment or people retire, we will capture some of the salary savings from that when that occurs. As you know, typically we've had 1,000 to 2,000 retirements that occur each and every year, which results in savings, salary savings of significant proportions. You know, obviously there are actually some parts of state government that needs to surge to provide support for our community. We've all learned about unemployment insurance, and we have many state employees assigned to support that activity. We do anticipate increases in all of the social safety net programs, food stamps, Medicaid, and others that actually will be increasing and that we're responding to. And then obviously we are working with all the agencies to look at reductions. We've frozen expenditures in the sense that we want to eliminate or stop non-personnel expenditures from occurring. So that's kind of that next level of activity. And then obviously the last part of the budget puzzle will be salary savings or payroll savings.